Once, this city was the dream.
The place people from all over the world imagined when they thought about success.
A place where opportunities felt endless.
Where innovation shaped the future, and where a single idea could turn into a billion-dollar company almost overnight.
Today, that same city is being quietly abandoned.
Welcome to San Francisco, a place that represents both the peak of success and the breaking point of modern living in the United States.
At first glance, nothing seems wrong.
Skyscrapers, luxury apartments, self-driving cars, and some of the most powerful tech companies in the world. Salaries here are among the highest you can find anywhere. Everything about this city suggests wealth, progress, and a better life. But the reality behind that image tells a completely different story.
Because living here has become one of the most expensive experiences on the planet. Let's start with the biggest factor, housing. In San Francisco, rent is not just high.
It's overwhelming.
A small one-bedroom
apartment can easily cost between
$2,500 and
$3,500 per month. In more central or desirable areas, that number climbs past $4,000, sometimes even higher.
Now, think about that for a second. Just to have a roof over your head,
you are already spending what many
people in other cities would consider
a full monthly salary. And it doesn't stop there. Buying a home. That's an entirely different level. The median home price in San Francisco has surpassed $1.2 million.
For many, owning a home here is no longer a goal.
It's an impossible dream. So naturally, you would expect that salaries must be incredibly high to compensate for this. And yes, they are high, but not high enough.
The average worker might earn between $70,000 and $90,000 per year.
On paper, that sounds like a great income. But after federal and state taxes, what you actually take home is much lower.
In many cases,
that leaves around $4,500 to $5,000 per month. Now subtract rent.
If you're paying $3,000 or more just for housing,
you're left with about $2,000, maybe less. And that's when the real pressure begins. Because everything else in this city is also expensive.
Groceries alone can cost between
$400 and $800 per month, depending on your lifestyle.
Eating out?
Even a basic meal at a casual restaurant can cost $20 to $30. If you go somewhere slightly nicer, you could easily spend $50 or more without even realizing it. A simple coffee, something that feels like a small daily habit, often costs between $5 and $7. Multiply that over a month, and even small expenses start to feel significant. Utilities like electricity, water, and internet typically add another $150 to $300. Transportation, whether it's public transit, fuel, or ride sharing, can cost anywhere from $100 to $300 per month. Add it all together, and suddenly that remaining $2,000 disappears very quickly. In fact, for many people, it's not enough. And that's the part that doesn't get talked about enough. People assume that everyone in San Francisco is rich, but a large number of residents are actually living paycheck to paycheck. Some are even working multiple jobs just to maintain a basic standard of living. And then comes the biggest financial fear of all, healthcare.
In the United States, medical care is not free.
Even with insurance, costs can be extremely high. Simple doctor's visit might cost $100 to $300. Emergency care?
That could easily reach thousands of dollars. A short hospital stay can turn into a bill that takes years to pay off.
This means that getting sick is not just a health issue. It's a financial risk that can completely disrupt your life. Now imagine trying to handle all of this every single month.
At some point, people start asking themselves a simple question: is it worth it?
And for many, the answer has become no. Over the past few years, something very noticeable has started happening. People are leaving San Francisco in large numbers.
Not just a few,
but tens of thousands. These are not tourists. These are residents, families, workers, people who built their lives in this city and then decided they could no longer afford to stay. And it's not just individuals. Companies are leaving too. Operating a business in San Francisco has become incredibly expensive.
Office spaces cost a fortune.
Taxes are high.
General expenses continue to rise. As a result, many companies have started relocating to more affordable places like
Texas and Florida.
When companies move, jobs move with them.
And when jobs leave, people follow. Many former residents are choosing cities like Austin, Miami, and Denver. In these places, the cost of living is significantly lower. Rent is more affordable.
Daily expenses are easier to manage. And overall, life feels more balanced.
For the same salary, or sometimes even less, people can live more comfortably.
And that's hard to ignore. But perhaps the most shocking part of this entire situation is the contrast.
Because while San Francisco is one of the wealthiest cities in the world, it also has a visible and growing homelessness problem. Thousands of people are living on the streets, not necessarily because they don't work, but because they simply cannot afford housing anymore. This creates a powerful and uncomfortable image.
A city filled with billion-dollar companies and luxury lifestyles,
standing side by side with people struggling to survive. It's the level of inequality that is hard to overlook, and the numbers make everything even even clearer. Average rent, over $3,000 per month. Median home price, above $1.2 million. Cost of living, around 80% higher than the national average. Population movement, tens of thousands leaving each year. These are not small changes. These are signs of a deeper shift.
So, what does all of this mean? Is San Francisco collapsing? Not exactly. The city is still powerful,
Still influential.
still a global center for technology and innovation. But at the same time, it's becoming less livable for the average person.
And that changes everything.
Because a city cannot function on innovation alone.
It needs workers, families, communities, people who can afford to stay, build, and live without constant financial stress. If those people continue to leave, the identity of the city itself begins to change. And maybe that's the real story here. This isn't just about one city becoming expensive. This is about what happens when the
Cost of living grows faster than the ability of people to keep up.
Because when that gap becomes too wide, there is always a breaking point.
And when that breaking point is reached,
People don't adapt.
they leave.
So the question now is no longer just about San Francisco. The real question is, which city is next?